Like a mouth breathing like a motherfucker. My nose is so stuffed. 7 I about sick. Round 3. Fight.
Yes.
Here we go.
And scene. Action. This is episode 96.
Thank God. I was like, where the fuck are we? 96, dude.
I know.
96, 97, and we're recording right after this.
Yep. And then we will be on a little hiatus for spring break. We'll be off for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Doesn't mean we're not recording. It just means there won't be new episodes posted for a couple weeks, which just gives you guys time to catch up on all the episodes that you haven't listened to yet.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Mari Hoagland. And she suggested we talk about overall anxiety and fear and the compulsions that can come with it, right? And her example was flying, because flying is a huge trigger for her. Well, she just got back from flying over the literal ocean. And so she wanted to talk about her experience with challenging herself in those moments when she felt fearful and kind of what that experience was like. I will preface this by saying, do I think all fears and phobias need to be conquered? No. Do I have to conquer my fear of snakes? Absolutely not.
Why not?
No fucking reason. My kid wants to have a snake. He can have one when he moves out of my house, and I will never come and visit him for the rest of his life. I don't need to
never visit.
Bitch. When I worked in the community setting after undergrad, I had to go to people's houses. I monitored people who were on house arrest. What was my first position that I had to go to this house? I don't remember what the first position was. This man had several snakes. I told my boss, I said, I'm not going in the house. Like, I will not. I will stand outside on the sidewalk and he can come out and talk to me. I'm not going in his house. They were pissed. But I was like, no, because in my brain, one's going to get out and it's going to attack me. It's going to strangle me to death.
Seriously?
Dude, the fear is unreal. It's unreal. I can look at them in like a zoo now and I can watch them on TV. I used to not even be able to do that. Like, dude, I used to have nightmares as a kid. I felt them in the bottom of my bed. It was bad.
This is so wild to me. This is brand new information.
It was bad.
I didn't realize it was that bad. Like, I know that you don't like them, but like, I figured it was like how I don't like horror movies. Like,
no, it's bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like how you feel like you're going to die on an airplane. I feel like if a snake is anywhere near me, it's the end for me.
The whole purpose of this episode is to say that I don't feel like I'm going to die in an airplane anymore.
Which is something you need to conquer if you want to travel. I don't plan on becoming a fucking serpentarian or whatever, herpetologist.
What? I feel like you just made that up, man.
Herpetologist is real. That's real.
I need to post it to cover my face, man. I do not. I'm like, just put something up. Anyways,
so let's first break down the compulsion you're referring to when it comes to your anxiety about flying.
Yes. So the reason I wanted to have, man, I'm really struggling looking at myself right now too, because the bags are so real because of trying to catch up on sleep and shit. So
that's why I like this microphone, because it covers half my face.
I know.
Just hold.
So anyways, so the whole reason I wanted to do this episode is because this is still very fresh in my mind, right? Of coming back. So I have a fear of flying. I have not always had a fear of flying. I feel like it significantly, like, I never really liked it, but I was like, okay, well, if my dad wants to go, my dad took us to Hawaii, which my dad didn't really take us anywhere. So I was like, fuck, hell yeah, I'm going to Hawaii. So went to Hawaii, and I think that's kind of where like the budding anxiety started. I think when I've been to Arizona and Florida before that, but I think I was so young, like it was like, oh, this is so exciting. And I had so many distractions, right? Because Arizona, we went with my cousins, and it was like my best cousin. So like, I was like, oh my God, it's like I get to be with her for a whole week. This is so exciting. And then I got to see my aunt's kids, who I grew up with until 6th grade when they moved away, and they were like my brothers. So, I mean, there's so many rewards in the traveling for when I was younger that I think I didn't think about it. Then the flights with Hawaii started, a little bit of the fear, because we had to take a puddle jumper to get to the next island, because we went to the big island, Oahu, and I think Maui.
How old were you?
16. I don't really remember if we went to two. I feel maybe it was just Oahu and the Big Island, which they call Hawaii still, but all of the islands are Hawaii. I don't know, whatever, it's not important. And then went to Costa Rica for a school trip when I was 17. Had to take another tiny ass plane. I remember being freaked out, but my friend Ashley, who I was with, a kid did drugs down there from another school that was with us, and he had a seizure because he was dehydrated because they were doing drugs the night before in San Juan, I think. And it was the scariest fucking shit ever. But I couldn't be scared because my friend Ashley wanted to go home. And we even like satellite phone called her mom of like that we might go home. And I was like, well, she's not going alone. So I'm traveling with her then. And so then it became this whole thing. And I think that is kind of where it was like, oh my fucking God. Like if I have to figure out how to get back, like that's going to be wild because I couldn't send a teacher with us. So I think that started it. And then having a child is where it took off.
That's where I was going to say, I thought it happened after you had Soph of like, if I die, what's going to happen to her?
Yes. So that's where it really intensified. And it intensified, especially because I left her in 2014. Me and my husband at the time went on a Florida vacation, and she was a little under a year. I think it was before her seizures and before the other. Yeah. So she was a little under a year. And we went to Florida, and I don't know whatever, it doesn't matter who watched her, but, we flew out of Midway, which I fucking hate first and foremost. And then the flight home, I was terrified to leave her, so sad to leave her. And then it really started freaking me out of like, oh my God, what the fuck would happen? Because me and my husband at the time were on the plane together. Like, oh my God, my daughter. Then the landing was terrible. The landing was fucking awful. Like it was so rough. And then shit from the back, like closets came, I don't know what they're called, but came out and like flew forward. Jesus. And like it was bad. It just was not a great landing. So I think from there, then it solidified. And then we were poor. We didn't have money to go anywhere else. So like that, then it just built on itself, right? Not that I would think about it all the time, but like when people would be going on vacations or like saying, oh, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'd be like, oh my God, there's no way. Like I could never, blah, 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 blah. I honestly think the next time after that I actually remember.
Didn't you take her to Disney when she was like 6 months? Or did you drive? I thought you took her when she was a baby.
No.
Maybe I was thinking of this trip then, but she wasn't with you.
You were thinking of this trip because we didn't go to Disney. We went to I don't think it was Key West. Fort Myers. Fort Myers. We didn't go. No. Oh my God, taking a baby to Disney? What a fucking terrible idea. I mean, absolutely not. First and foremost, I'm not going to fucking pay for that. Second of all, we were fucking poor. Like we had no money. So I don't even know how we scrounged up enough for this trip. I think because I think that we got extremely good flight deals with the group that we were going with. And then, it was, I have no idea how we made it work. Probably a credit card, to be completely honest with you.
Sure. That's how I went to Vegas.
Yeah. So then, because even on my flight to Vegas, it wasn't even that bad. When I was 21, we flew to Vegas, and the fear was not as intense as it was. So then I think it just built. And then I don't think I flew until 2018. And 2018, because I went to Denver. To see ex-ambassadors at the Red Rocks. When I tell you the flight there was okay because it was the excitement of the trip. The flight home, it's silent tears streaming the entire way home. And then I went to Seattle. And
then you got stuck there.
Yep. And then we got stuck there in the flight home. It was rescheduled 6 times. And then we flew into a snowstorm. And where we were landing in O'Hare, I still have never flew out of Midway, and I will never do it again. We flew out of O'Hare and flew into O'Hare for Seattle, and a plane earlier in the day had slid off the tarmac. So that also lit silent tears streaming the entire time. And then we flew to Disney.
You also went to South America.
Disney was first, though. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I went to Belize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Seattle, Seattle was after Belize. Yeah. Because the only reason okay. So Seattle was after Belize. Belize was first. I could literally forgot all about Belize. That's when I started getting Xanax from my mom's friend. She
Mm-hmm.
gave me a Xanax to calm down during the flight because I was like having a fucking moment because that was 2 flights,
Mm-hmm.
2 down there and 2 on the way back. Then they gave me a Xanax to fly. This is so irresponsible. Please do not take medication that's not prescribed to you.
We're not recommending that at all. That's not a way to conquer this.
Yeah,
so.
Let me put this disclaimer out there. Do not take medication that is not prescribed to you. I just realized, like,
in my head, I was like, oh boy.
I sound like a druggie. But like realistically, what person have you not met that hasn't taken a fucking pill that's not prescribed to them? Okay, just don't do it. Because I then went about the appropriate route after the Florida one. So went to South America and then had that. God, I forgot all about Belize. The nice thing in these moments of going is that my flights were great. Like there wasn't, besides that one Florida flight, there's been turbulence here and there, but nothing that has been like chaotic of like, I'm never getting on that goddamn plane again.
Sure. And I think it's a testament to you flying with Soph for you having to like be strong for her and not freak out in front of her. Right. Yes. So it's like a true, like, well, I got to keep it together for her. Cause if I lose it, she's going to lose it. And then we're all going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Cause the first trip we went to Florida, I will say to the flight home from Seattle, when we were landing, he dipped down and had to come back up again and do a search. So, I mean, when I tell you I was bawling, I was like, so then we had the Florida trip. And on the way home, because the flight home, I cried the entire time, like, because I was trying to be okay. And I was thinking like, okay, I have Sophia and I have Jeff and it's going to be okay. And I just could not shake the fear of like, what the fuck? Because it was always this fear of like, the plane's going to break in half. We're going to be sucked out. Like just all of these crazy thoughts that are not going to happen. And what isn't helpful when somebody is in these thought processes is trying to like challenge it for them. Don't do that. That's the safest way to travel. Shut the fuck up. I'm well aware. My rational brain, when I am on the earth, my feet are on the ground. I fucking get it. I know it's not going to happen. I know that's not how planes are designed. They don't just drop out of the air. I get it. Save it, please. People have fears and phobias because they're irrational, not because they're rational. So shut the fuck up. Anyways, so then I'm literally driving home from O'Hare. I found West Grove in Kenosha Psychiatry, and I made an appointment for 2 weeks because I knew that we had.
You were going to Jamaica, right?
We had Jamaica coming up, and I was like, "There's no fucking way. I can't do this. I cannot do this." So then met with her, talked about it because I did. That's how I made it. I did go to my primary care physician and I did say, hey, I fucking struggle with flight anxiety. And I know that Xanax has worked. I'm not saying that I want Xanax, but I will provide you with my flight itinerary when I have a flight. Can we do something? They wanted me to try hydroxyzine first. It did nothing. That's what they gave me for the flight to Belize. And we got to Belize and I was panicking about having to go home. And that's when my friend's mom gave me as 0.25 of Xanax to get home with my hydroxyzine. And I have nurses on the trip with me. So I discussed with them in detail that I wouldn't die if I mixed the pills. Just because
that is a fear of hers that she's going to die if she takes the pills.
So. Oh my God. I literally was like, I'm going to take the Xanax and die. Yeah, I was like, my heart's going to stop. Like, I'm so rational. So then because I was like, I knew I took a step to do something. So they gave me hydroxyzine. It did absolutely nothing. Didn't even make me tired. Like I was expecting it to even just like knock me out. And I was like, I should have taken Benadryl. Because my friend Steph who I travel with takes Dramamine and knocks the fuck out. And I'm like, how do you do that? So anyways, so then made an appointment, got Xanax, and then I've been able to fly obviously ever since with instead of silent tears streaming down my face, I could sit in my seat, my leg is bouncing, but like I can collect myself. So the reason I wanted to do this episode is because my friend Steph found flights to go overseas for a very cheap price to go to Ireland. And Ireland has always been on my bucket list. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going. Like, because in my mind, I'm like, you're never going to find this cheap of a fucking flight again. You're just not. So it was cheaper than flying to fucking Vegas. That's how cheap
Mhm.
these fucking flights were. Flew to Ireland. Well, I was like, okay, let's do this. Because every experience that I've had thereafter, because I did meet with a psychiatrist, they did give me Xanax for my flight anxiety, and it has worked. It has helped, right? It has gotten me to the point to be able to get on the plane, to sit in my seat, and to be awake, aware, but not freaking out constantly the
Mhm.
entire flight. With that being said, the flights that I have been on, and having taken the Xanax and having the awareness to be like, okay, nothing has happened. I'm feeling okay. And becoming used to the movement of the plane, it has helped drastically for me to be able to challenge the thoughts of like, oh, I'm going to be ripped out, or the plane's going to be, what is that
Mhm.
noise, or what is this, or what is that? So much so that when we flew to Ireland, the flight out there, I took 2 Xanax. I took one, and then like midway through the flight, because it was the first time I had gone over the ocean like that, where there wasn't like within 30 minutes of
Yeah.
us being able to land again. So I was really worried about that part of like, we're gonna land in the ocean with sharks if we're gonna die.
Mhm.
Like, and then in my mind, I was like, Murray, you'll be dead before you hit the water. Like, like it's whatever. So trying to rationalize, not working. So I took another one, and then we landed. Everything was fine. Had the whole trip, and then coming back, I took one after getting on the plane, and I didn't want to sleep because I didn't want to be caught up with jet lag and have my sleep off. And so Steph suggested like try to stay awake on the plane. I know that you don't like flying. I know that you want to go to bed and you don't like being, awake and alert and all of those things, but really try to stay up. So the Xanax wore off. Like, so I took it, the flight it was 7.5 hours on the way back because of the headwinds. I took it, and after it had gotten me through getting over the ocean, which was about 5 hours of the flight. So then once we kind of started coming over the United States, well, you come up in Canada first and then come down. But once we started going there, I noticed that the turbulence was happening, and I was okay, right? Like, it's not that I was like, oh, this feels fun, but I had the ability, even though the Xanax had worn off at that point, and I was challenging myself to not take another one, saying to myself, like, it's just like a boat on the ocean. We're just hitting pockets of air. That's all that this is. And recognizing that, like, using it as all of these other past flights that I've had of like, this has happened on this flight, and it's happened on this flight, and
Mhm.
this this means, and being able to have that familiarity and have that exposure to the anxiety to be able to calm myself down. So much so to the point now where, okay, I didn't take the second Xanax, which I talked with my psychiatrist, and she said that I could take up to 3 if I really wanted to. So I even had that like talk with her of like, okay, what do I need to do? I didn't take the second one, and now we fly to New York at the end of April for my daughter's choir competition. And I think on the way home from New York, that flight, because it's only 2 hours, I'm going to try to attempt to challenge myself to not take Xanax at all, and
Mhm.
just to see how I'm doing. And if I need it, I need it, right? It's not going to be this like, oh, I'm going to stick to my goal and then panic the whole way home. Like poor Jeff, like like he can't. He struggles really hard when I'm just like, he's like, oh God, please stop. We're in public. So even that thought process of being able to say to myself, like, I'm going to challenge that on the way home and attempt to not take it, and attempt to see how my body reacts and if I have the ability to control. And if I do, amazing. If I don't, I think I would probably just bite one in half and try to take a half and not even take a whole one, and just see, how that works, and just
Mhm.
play around with it. But again, allowing myself these exposures to the anxiety, because the thought process behind, your anxiety and the compulsions that come with it, you have the anxiety, the compulsion is to get yourself out of that situation. So in the sense of flying, well, my compulsion would be to not fly, or to get off the plane, or to cancel my flight, or to do these things.
Mhm.
The more I feed into that compulsion, the stronger that anxiety gets, because you are
Mhm.
feeding it. That compulsion and giving into it is saying to yourself, okay, well, I'm only okay right now because I canceled my flight. I'm only okay right now because I took the Xanax. I'm only okay right now because blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
The same used to go when we worked in the behavioral health hospital. We would have so many children who struggled with this
Going to school.
school anxiety, right? And so parents, unbeknownst to them, right? And I didn't even know, having not worked, like having worked in the field and now being exposed to it makes 100% sense. But even if like having not been in Rogers, I don't even know if I would have understood, like by you rescuing your child basically is what it is, but giving into that anxiety of like, oh, I'll let them stay home and have a mental health day today. I'll let, they're anxious about this, we'll just kind of remove them from the situation. By doing that, you're feeding the anxiety and making it stronger. So much so that it got to the point where Steph and I would see these kids and it would be this tantrum, for lack of a better word. There's this tantrum of, this inability to console this child of like, I can't go, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And then having to set strict, clear boundaries with parents of like, you have to take them. You have to. Do not go pick them up. Do not rescue them. Do not, like, they have to go through a day. You cannot keep feeding the compulsion, I need to go home. I'm only okay if I'm home, or I'm only okay if I'm not at school, or if I only stay until lunch. Whatever that it is, you cannot feed into it.
Also understanding that, again, the root of fear and anxiety is like the irrational fear of what could happen, right? But it's also just the entire notion of I am 100% out of control. You're not driving an airplane. You're completely out of control. What the fuck's going to happen, right? So that's terrifying. So then you're trying to control everything around you, and then that's just creating chaos, right? So in those moments, not only are you challenging your thoughts, but you're riding that wave of emotion. If you're constantly shutting down the anxiety center of your brain, you don't know what it's like to go through the experience to show yourself like, I can do this.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Which is why I'm saying, okay, my next step is I've gotten this tool that helps me be able to see. And I've had the reward of seeing these different places, of having these different experiences and loving traveling. So then now it's okay. I've had all of these good exposures. Let's try it with this small moment of, it's a short flight. You're coming on the way home. Just try it. Just don't take it. You've got it. It's in your hand. Or like in your little pocket. You've got the ability to take it. You have the prescription. Backup's there if you need it. See what it's like. Challenge yourself. And even if I make it half of the flight, that's still a win. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thinking. It doesn't have to be like, well, if I take it, then I failed. No. Even the thought process of attempting to try, after having known how scared I have been, is huge growth. Huge.
And understanding that you focusing on all the what ifs and what have yous and what could be's is ineffective for you in this moment.
Absolutely.
You can't know any of those things.
Absolutely.
Are those things scary? Yeah. Is there any guarantee they're going to happen? No. And what is worrying about them now going to do for you? It sounds so simple when I challenge clients of like, okay, but what is worrying about that going to do for you? And they're like, literally nothing. But then they continue and they don't feel like they have the power to challenge things, because once you feel any sort of inkling of something is out of your control, you spiral into everything that's in the fucking world that's outside of your control. And then you're convinced that you have no control in your life whatsoever. That's not true.
Yes.
It's not true.
And
I can't believe that for you though.
Exactly. And you have to, if you cannot do that, well, I know that you can't do it in your head. You can't do it in your head, put it on paper. When you start to see some of these spirals and you're actually writing them down, you can start to see the progression of like, where is this even going? Because I was first worried about this thing and now I'm worried about death.
Now I'm worried about sharks. What happened?
Exactly. What is it? Where am I? Like, so being able to expose yourself to the anxiety. Now, if you're afraid of flying and you don't have the means to go flying, that you're missing the point. I'm not saying go take a plane. I'm not like, hop on your private jet and go. Like what? It's more so what is in your life that is creating potentially everyday anxiety for you that you can expose yourself to. So social anxiety, being around people. Don't go to fucking Summerfest. Start with the grocery store. You don't like being around people? Go to Woodman's. Okay. Don't go to a fucking concert first. Start exposing yourself in little areas.
But even like a small example. So for example, if you're scared to show your legs in public. For whatever reason, wear shorts around your house, right? Wear shorts around your house, take pictures of yourself in shorts, work out in shorts. The more you do it, the less that fear has a hold on you.
Yes.
You hate talking on a video on Instagram, but you want to be somebody who's like an influencer. You want to be somebody who sends out their message. Start small. Make short videos every single day. The more you do it, the less scary it is. that is the thing about anxiety treatment that fucking sucks. And I'm real honest with people about it all the time of like, here's the thing that's shitty about anxiety treatment is I'm going to force you to do the thing that you're scared of.
Yes.
Because that's the only way that you're going to get through it. Now, if that person tells you they're not ready, well, then they're not ready for treatment at that time. And that's okay. We're going to take it a different direction and we're going to address something else. That's fine. But that is legitimately the only way to get through anxiety provoking situations is to face them head on.
Is to expose yourself to the anxiety so you can teach yourself that your body can handle the anxiety and teach yourself of what you need to focus on versus all of the things that are outside of your control. You have to challenge it. You have to show yourself that.
Yep.
So I feel like this is solid. I have to do it after every episode. You know that I do. I don't know why. I just do. It's a compulsion. Compulsion to the anxiety. I don't even know how. I'm not anxious about anything, so I don't know how that fits. But so you could find Steph at The Spooky Therapist. You could find me at BEA_XO11. You could find us at Rewriting Her Story Podcast on Instagram and then on YouTube, Rewriting Her Story Podcast. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, topics, ideas, let us know at rewritingherstory@gmail.com. Rewritingherstorypodcast@gmail.com. It's the third time I've said it today. Why the fuck is it not ingrained in my head? And
I don't know.
Also almost the 100th plus time I've said it because of all the PS episodes. So what the fuck? Anyways, until next time, guys. Bye.